What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. Now, I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about 3 things I want in Pirates of the Caribbean 6. Now, we've made quite a few Pirates of the Caribbean videos, and it seems like I'm on the schedule of every other Sunday. So if you guys want to mark that down in your calendars, if you guys are interested. And I do honestly greatly appreciate all of your guys' support. I love making these videos. I feel re-energized and reinvigorated to talk about Pirates of the Caribbean. You guys are all to thank for that. You guys have been doing such an amazing job. So I greatly appreciate your support. Let me know, as always, in the comments of any of these videos if there's a specific Pirates video you want me to make, and as always, if there's anything breaking Pirates related, it won't only be every 2 weeks. If there's something big Pirates related in the middle of the week, we'd be covering it up to the minute. Okay, so I thought this would be a pretty fun video to do. It kind of encapsulates some of the weaknesses that I thought 4 and 5 had, and it's a way to kind of remedy that going forward. So I think it's a pretty cool video idea. And as I said in the last video, I am going to do it. I'm going to be doing a 3-year anniversary video for Dead Men Tell No Tales. I'm going to re-review it. I'm going to watch it again maybe a few days before it, record the video, and then it'll go up on the day Pirates 5 released 3 years ago, okay? So expect that within just a few weeks, it's going to be the anniversary, so I'm really excited to do that. Okay, let's go over 3 things. The first thing is sword fighting. It needs to have sword fighting. Now, again, one of the biggest weaknesses, and I guess I should say this really quick. There's clearly a lot of things it needs to do, right? We've talked about like 1,000 of them in other videos. These are 3 things that I feel like I haven't talked about as much, and I just wanted to throw them in. I completely understand that there's other things, maybe even some bigger things, and some more fundamental things, obviously like saying goodbye to Jack, stuff like that. I get all that. These are just some different things altogether. But the sword fighting is one of them. You know, sword fighting isn't the main thing in Pirates of the Caribbean. Obviously, there's a lot of other things that make it Pirates, but Pirates, sword fighting, we've seen it throughout all these films. They're really cool. They really are. And with each passing movie, they could have gotten better and better and better. Now, Pirates 3, I think, was the pinnacle, right? Obviously, the Flying Dutchman and Black Pearl, that battle was absolutely incredible. The amount of sword fighting, the fact that it went on for like 30, 40 minutes was absolutely insane. Now, that was one of the biggest production budgets of all time. At the time, it was the biggest produced movie in terms of its budget of all time. So I get it. They put a lot into it. It was also a very long movie, and there's actually even more things cut out of it. Like, I understand it. It wasn't just the sword fighting. And that's ultimately kind of to make my point here. They really need to bring it back. 4 had very little. And what it did have was like one of the highlights, the Angelica Jack fight in the beginning. Like, that was okay, but I would say overall it was pretty weak. There wasn't all that much. Even the, I guess, Barbossa Blackbeard, like that final fight was okay. It's probably the best part of the entire movie in my opinion, but it's not as good as 2, obviously, right on like the island when they're fighting over the chest. It's not as good as that. I wouldn't even say it's as good as like Will and Jack's fight in the first one. And I'm not actually the biggest fan of that fight. I'm sure a lot of people are. I really don't care for that fight all that much. But it definitely didn't live up to 3. And 5 had next to nothing. Now, I don't know if it's because of Johnny Depp's age, and it's mainly, it doesn't have to be him, but he kind of should participate a little bit. That's one of the main reasons I love 3 so much, is I was waiting in 2 for Davy Jones and Jack to fight. That's like, and I didn't know that they were going to do that. I will tell you, I expected them to do it, so if they didn't do it, I would have been super disappointed, but I'm so glad. Like, literally the fight we got on the top of the ship, like with them fighting in the rain and the camera spinning around, that scene is perfect because somehow they captured literally what I want. Is it the longest fight in the world? No, but Jack does fight in 3. Okay, it's not just that scene. So basically, in 4 and 5, he really didn't do next to anything. Especially 5, there was like no sword fighting, next to none. And what it was, and I guess what they did give us, he did do it. Johnny Depp did do some of it. And again, I get it. Maybe it's just because he's getting older. You can't have him participate as much. That's why having someone like Orlando Bloom come back, a little bit younger, maybe he'd be able to do it more. I get like Jeffrey Rush. Like, obviously, he's a lot older, so maybe you couldn't do it with him. I get it. The cast age matters. Another reason maybe to bring back Henry and Karina. Those two can fight. Even Karina, if they go the Elizabeth route, she could use a sword as well, right? Or if they bring in new characters. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. It doesn't have to just be Jack. I do want to see Jack have a sword fight that's like a cool sword fight. But, if in general, I want a sword fight. I want a really good battle to take place. And then as a cop-out, my number 2 is the same thing, but ships. Now, this one I feel like is a little bit more blatant. I feel like this one is because of the budget. Now, whether it's because of the literal ships, like how they built them, and the tsunami or whatever that hit them, and they lost the Black Pearl, like the ship they used as the model, all that kind of stuff. I feel like that's got more weight behind it as to why they don't do it. But again, they're like that one. I feel like you can see lacking more. Now, was that the biggest thing in a Pirates movie? No, I would say I'm way more of a fan of the sword fighting than the ship battles. But again, 3, especially like when when the Flying Dutchman comes out in the beginning and just annihilates those ships, those scenes kind of sprinkled in will always be cool. Again, even the last battle, how the ships are still fighting each other while the sword fighting is taking place, that's epic. 4 had next to nothing in it. Like literally next to nothing. There were no ships really in 4. 5, yeah, there were some, and there was some battle, but again, very, very little. And I feel like I haven't watched this movie, by the way. I haven't watched, and I'll probably say this in the review. I haven't watched 5 in like 2 years. Okay, so it's been a long, long time since I've watched 5. I'm curious to see if these things are gonna stick out. If not having sword fighting and not having ship battles are really gonna like be a big thing. I feel like they will, because I remember watching 5, and even like at the end of it, I don't know if I've said it I'm sure I've said it in some of those like first day videos we made right after 5. I think it was very blatantly obvious the lack of sword fighting and ship battles in 5. Huge. Especially, again, I think 4 was a lack of ships. 5, they try to do more ships, but I think they had less sword fighting. They just haven't been able to nail the proper balance of these two things since 3. Since 3, back in 2007, they have not been able to nail having a good amount. They don't have to it doesn't have to be overkill, but have a little bit of sword fighting, have a little bit of ship battles, and have it work really fluidly, and they have not managed to do it. I think, honestly, those two things will go a long, long way to helping a potential 6th movie. Obviously, they have a lot of character stuff to do. They have villain stuff to do. They have loads to do. A goodbye to Jack. Again, if all of this were to ever happen, or if it will happen, they have a lot to do. But I think these two things are very, very important. Maybe not as important, but very important. And the third thing does have to do with the villain, is give us a good villain yet again. Now, could that be just bringing back Davy Jones? I think that would do it. I think that's the easy. I mean, yeah, you could just have cinematographers come in there and say, okay, we're going to do some sword fighting, and it's very easy to just kind of inject that in. I really don't think that would be all that expensive. Again, ship battles, that would kind of depend on the budget they have and if they want to use some of that money towards it. I feel like ship battles of these 3 is the least likely to happen. Sword fighting would probably be the best. The villain is very much up to the writers, how they do it. Now, again, we have good writers. There's good writers attached to this movie. Do they bring back Davy Jones? I think, again, that's kind of like a slam dunk, like, okay. However, I will say this. You kind of lose a lot of what made Davy Jones if you bring him back. You would have to kind of give us another reason to respect him. And look, and we've talked about this in the past on Pirates videos and really anything, we're big fans of villains that you can relate to. And movies in general and games have done a really good job over the last 10, 15 years of moving out of villains are just bad to be bad. They want world domination. They want to, do whatever they want to do. They want to be like in charge. They've moved away from that and moved more towards they're just slight angle changes on what the protagonist wants. That's what the villain is, where you can realistically see why they are who they are. And maybe if you just change your line of thinking just a little bit, you can think the same. Thanos in Infinity War, not in Endgame. Actually, I think they hurt him in Endgame. Infinity War, that's a really good example. Davy Jones, we've said it time and time again. I still believe, I've watched a lot of movies, I still believe Davy Jones is probably my favorite and the best villain in all of cinema. Now, you could have lost me, but I feel like, those watching these videos, those watching Pirates, we're all in, we all love the movies for different reasons. We all know that maybe we like it maybe too much and we give it too much credit. But I do generally think Davy Jones is a very well put together villain. I think he's got all of the reasons to be bad. I think you can understand. And ultimately, especially like in 3, he didn't really do anything. He was just controlled the whole time. He just wanted to break out. Like, he didn't even really do anything bad in 3. I mean, he killed Will. I guess there's that. But, like, he literally, I mean, if you're him, you'd probably do the same thing, right? right? Because you were just like, I don't want my life controlled because someone else has my heart, and damn it, it's because of Calypso and all of this stuff. And like, you can understand how he got to the point that he got to. And so again, if he's the villain of 6, you do have some problems because, like, why is he back? How is he back? What's his plan now? Does his plan now make sense? Are we going to see the side that he's coming at it from, right? All those things. Like, they can mess up. I guess saying, like, Davy Jones wouldn't I guess I'll take it back. He wouldn't be a slam dunk. They'd have to kind of reinvent him a little bit, but it would be pretty easy. They've messed up with Blackbeard. They messed up with Salazar. Salazar, I think, was a little bit on the right track, but they, again, and we talked about it when that movie came out, they gave us a one-sentence line of why he is who he is, and it's just not enough. It's not a big enough reason. I just don't accept it. And so, again, like, they tried with Salazar. I think they did an okay job. I think he's better than Blackbeard, but he's easily, like, the second weakest villain they've ever had. And so, again, if it's Poseidon, if it's a brand new villain, if it's Davy Jones, whoever it is, needs to be relatable in a way that you can tell why they're doing what they're doing. Again, where you can see, if you just change your thought angle just a little bit, you could probably side with them. I want that. And we had that. And I think, honestly, I personally took it for granted, and I think all of us did, in 2 and 3. We took it for granted how amazing a villain I guess we took a lot of things for granted of how good 1, 2, and 3 were. But Davy Jones in particular, I took a lot for granted that, like, we were given a really good villain. He was acted perfectly, right? He did such an amazing job, amazing performance. So, we took that for granted, and we haven't really had the same level since then. We've had weaker villains just overall that haven't stood up to Davy Jones. So, does that mean you have to bring Davy Jones back? Like, no, not necessarily. But again, you did that at the end of 5. So, does that influence anything for 6? We'll have to see. But I think, if you do these 3 things, again, the movie won't be saved. The movie won't be perfect, but you're on a good track. And then, obviously, you add in all the Jack stuff, you add in some of the stuff with the side characters, maybe setting it up for future films without Jack. Obviously, there's a lot more to be done in a potential Pirates 6, but I think these 3 things are very, very important. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think about my 3 things? What are some things that you think need to be in Pirates 6? Sound off in the comments below. Make sure you guys are subscribed and have that bell icon turned on. Again, thank you guys so much for your support. I'll be continuing these videos every other Sunday. Let me know if there's any other videos you want me to make. I'll look out for that. I'll probably have 2 videos, right? Because Pirates 5 doesn't fall in that every other week thing. So we'll break the schedule a little bit in the next coming weeks, but look out for that Pirates 5 anniversary video. Lots of stuff coming Pirates related. And again, if something big happens, any news with Johnny Depp, any news with Disney, with Pirates 6 in general, we'll absolutely cover it, okay? Thank you again for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.